Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Trey Ball. I'm Josh. He's Ryan. We're just gonna skip the intro and get right to what in the world is going on. Like I'm livid because coming into the season, let's get back. Let's go all the way back to last season. All right, we knew Miami. The consensus was Milwaukee's probably coming out of the East or Boston last season. Miami crashed the party. Okay, cool. Um, Tyler Hero had a phenomenal bubble. Duncan Robinson, he had his moments of going crazy. One of the biggest things from Miami was having Goran Dragic in the starting lineup. He was going for 20 plus every single game, playing great basketball. But the issue that we're facing this season is all of those things are in a scouting report. It's all in the scouting report now. So really, the only person that shouldn't have a problem, well, only two people shouldn't have a problem is Bam and Jimmy. Considering what Bam brings to the table defensively, he can guard all five positions. He can rebound. He can block shots. He's a good rim protector, but he can also guard him on the perimeter. He's somebody that you can throw the ball to and run your offense through. You don't expect him to get 20 points, but you do expect him to get at least 15, 10, 6, 7, 8 assists, right? Jimmy, my biggest beef with Jimmy has always been this, even going back to his Chicago days when D Wade, Rondo, and all them was there, or even before that when D Rose, Taj Gibson, Noah, and them boys were still there. Is Jimmy has a tendency to think like a role player, even though he has the talent of a superstar. And coming into the season, we knew, like I said, everybody's in the scouting report now, so Jimmy has to do even more offensively. Defensively, I think Miami was okay up until the point where everybody realized that Duncan Robinson can't guard anybody. Tyler Hero can't guard anybody. It's just frustrating that you knew these problems were present all season, and now all of a sudden they're in an 0-3 hole to the Milwaukee Bucks, and suddenly everybody's surprised by it.
Yeah, I am never really been a Miami fan, so I mean, I'm happy. I'm not
Hey, guess
that
what?
broken up
Guess what?
about it,
Guess what?
to be
Golden State's
honest.
at home. Golden State's at home.
Hey, we just waiting to get Clay back. Hey, shout out Clay. I know you putting in work, big homie. Can't wait to see you back on the TV screen. Anyway, that's my little 5 minutes of fame, 5 seconds of fame, whatever you want to call it. Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I mean, you summed it up pretty well. Miami is definitely not coming back from this. Not against Milwaukee. Milwaukee is just too good. So, I mean, what the stats are like if you're already down 0-2, you know, 93% of the time, you're gonna lose the series being down 0-2. So it's like they just lost this extra game. So it's like, maybe they might get one, maybe two if they're lucky, but at this point, they uh they need to start thinking about what they're gonna do on their vacation time.
They not even that, right? They need to start looking at real estate in other basketball cities. That's what needs to happen now. Okay, so looking at Miami, what's going on right now? Number one thing I can point to, and it's the most glaring, obvious thing that you can point to right now is James Harden's wearing a Brooklyn Nets uniform. That's it. James Harden is in Brooklyn, not in Miami, because we decided to keep Tyler Hero. Now, granted, look, Tyler Hero, he's a good young player. Finished top five in the rookie voting last season. Phenomenal player in the bubble. But one of my things with him is he has this tendency to just jack up shots, right? He doesn't really find the flow in the offense. He comes off the screen, shots going up. He catches in the corner, shots going up. He's coming down the break, shots going up. He doesn't have a real feel for the game. He's going to make the game feel him out. Like, if that makes sense, like it's everything's working the opposite of what it should for a go-to scorer. Um, you had a trade situation where you actually sent Kelly Olynyk out and that trade could have actually been Kelly Olynyk, Precious Achua, Tyler Hero, couple firsts, maybe a second, and you throw in some. I think you could have thrown in Myers Leonard, who ultimately got released by the Oklahoma City Thunder. But you throw him in, and you have James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo. I'm not seeing a situation where Milwaukee beats that three because of what James does offensively, both one on one, but what he does for his bigs like Bam, in this situation, Bam Adebayo, Dwayne Dedman could have been in there, and you have Trevor Ariza, who was a former teammate of James Harden, so you have him playing the four now. No idea why, because Giannis has been killing him the entire series and made it look easy. But like, you go back to those moves you could have made, all right. But then you also look at what's been said all season long. Jimmy's been telling them, hey, we're not trending in the right direction, and we shouldn't have points in the season where we go on 4, 5, 6 game losing streaks multiple times throughout the season simply because we're not rebounding the basketball, we're not playing good defense, our shot selection is poor, and we have long stretches throughout the game where we're not hitting shots, which is, I mean, it's part of basketball, but in my mind, if I have a guy like Jimmy Butler on my roster, I'm thinking like, dude, go get 25 to 30 on a win. Like, you can do that. And for somebody to go all the way to the NBA Finals, 40-point triple doubles against arguably the greatest player in NBA history, I really don't see any excuse for the way he's playing right now. Considering when they asked him, what's his frame of mind, how is he feeling coming to this postseason, he's like, I'm stupidly locked in. Yeah.
Which direction?
Test results confirmed that was a lie. All right, Jimmy Buckets was kidnapped by playoff Jimmy. Okay, he got bit by the same bug that bit playoff P last year and the year before that and the year before that. Absolutely,
oh my God.
man.
I'll say this. Now. There's no doubt they underperformed, this season. I think even during the regular season, you could say that definitively that they didn't really meet the expectations. Now, I think maybe we some people may not be as hard on them if they had not gotten to the finals last year. I think the fact that they were a surprise, they crashed that party, so to speak, last year. I think that definitely raised their stock quite a bit. But even if they didn't come out of the East last year, I think we all know what the Heat is capable of, and they're capable of more than what we've seen. So even if they didn't make the finals last year, I think the overall consensus would still be, yeah, you guys have fell below expectations.
Yeah.
So what they need to do, going forward, I think how they need to use this off season. I mean, you know, there are rumors out there that other people could be eyeing Miami as a destination, possibly. So depending on how the cards fall, they may have some trade opportunities to be able to make some immediate enhancements to the roster. But I think it's also a development thing too. I mean, you mentioned Tyler Hero, you mentioned Duncan Robinson having like glaring, very glaring weaknesses that teams have identified and they're exploiting. And so it's going to definitely take some development from the younger guys in order to put them in a better position next year. But it's a combination of, like I said, development and talent, getting more talent.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think I, you could possibly keep those players if you're bringing in somebody like Kawhi Leonard. Somebody who is, I mean, if you pair Bam Adebayo, Jimmy, and Kawhi, that's a very dominant front line as far as defensively, as far as defense goes. But Kawhi is somebody who thinks like a scorer offensively. You know what I'm saying? He thinks like a number one option. Going back to San Antonio, and then he got traded to Toronto. He's always been put in a position to think, act, respond as a primary option. Miller would. Jimmy Butler, he still thinks like I said, he still thinks like a role player. I don't want to see you get everybody involved, bro. Getting everybody involved is why we're down 20 in the first quarter. Tyler Hero, I think it was at one point tonight, Tyler, Duncan, Kendrick, Goran Dragic, and Bam, all of them were combined 1 for 23, 1 for 24, or something like that. And Jimmy, he was like 6 for 12. Yeah, you shot 50%. You got 15 points at that juncture of the game. But bro, if I'm looking at my team and I see that, you should probably have 20 shots put up at this point. 20 shots, 20, 25 points at this juncture in the game. Like, you should not be allowing anybody to stop you from getting to the basket, no matter what. Giannis wasn't really able to keep him out of the lane. The problem is Giannis would kind of guide him to the defensive player at the rim. He would guide him to Brook Lopez or Portis, somebody that was able to, and they're really good about going straight up and down, but because Jimmy doesn't act or think like a superstar, he's not getting superstar calls. So I think that's another part of the problem that he's been facing throughout this series and majority of the season, because I watched, I'd say at least 60 of the 72 Miami Heat games this year, at least 60. And I can tell you that Miami style of play is not something that you can look at a ref and say, hey, I should be getting these calls, because they've been playing relatively soft all season. You know, you give the ball to Bam, you give the ball to Jimmy. They're focused on handing the ball off to Tyler, to Goran Dragic, to Duncan, to Kendrick, instead of, okay, fake the handoff, let that person go away. Because now what happens is you fake the handoff and you got Duncan Robinson on the strong side corner. They're not going to help off him. So now you're in a one-on-one situation with the big or the forward on the opposite side of the ball. And 9 times out of 10, they can't stop you from getting to the hole to get the foul, to get contact. Because now they're just, I mean, they're sitting ducks at that point, especially with the athleticism of Bam. I mean, he's 6'9" on a good day, 6'10" when he's rolling to the basket, and when he gets to the launching pad, he's about 11 to 12 feet tall, and nobody's stopping him from getting to the basket at that point. So, I mean, I feel like they put themselves in this situation, but it's not something that we didn't already see coming. It's the fact that they seen it coming and didn't do enough to rectify the situation. I mean, you knew you had issues on the offensive side of the ball and defensively. You get rid of Kelly Olynyk, who's one of the best stretch bigs in the NBA. I've always had an issue with Kelly Olynyk because he likes to jack up shots, but he played pretty well in the playoffs last season. You bring in Trevor Ariza, who, another thing about Kelly Olynyk, he also leads the league in charges, or is around the top 5 in charges throughout the league. So he's a good rim protector from that perspective. Can get you 20, stretch the floor. There's good things, but when I see Kelly Olynyk on the floor in the NBA Finals going against Anthony Davis, like, bro, that's a bucket. Like, I see Anthony Davis, eyes light up, like, that's a bucket, right? Yeah. Imagine what happens when somebody says, I'm going to be guarded by Trevor Ariza for 20 minutes tonight. Bro, come on now. Like, Giannis can't hit a jumper to save his life, and he's been doing turnaround fadeaways the entire series. So somebody's got to figure out that 1 + 1 equals Giannis getting 30 piece. Like, I don't know if they're not watching the same game I am, or if they're just being overly optimistic about a bad situation. But it's just frustrating, man. Like, I'm sitting at home, and everybody sitting at home can see what's going on. Everybody can see what's happening. Jimmy Butler's in a press conference saying, hey, we playing soft. We're not playing together. The offense is stalling. We need to hit shots. We need to get to the basket. We need to play tougher, rebound, blah, 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 all these different things. But nobody's doing it. You know, like, what do y'all talk about in the huddle? I know UD's probably cussing everybody out whenever he gets the chance to, but somebody has got to acknowledge the fact that the scouting report is out on all of your shooters. A dribble handoff can't be the only way to get your shooters open. I've watched Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, Seth Curry, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. I watched all these guys. Kyle Korver, JJ Redick. I watched all these guys for numerous amount of years get wide open shots, run off screens, and first of all, I feel like just watching Duncan and Tyler, they don't effectively come off a screen. they don't effectively create space. So if you watch Kyle Korver and he's coming off a screen, there's normally 2 to 3 feet between him and his defender, and they have no chance to block his shot. Same with J.J. Redick. Ray Allen, he was a guy he could hit a shot in your face no matter what. Same with Clay, Steph, Seth. You know, all those guys, they can hit shots in your face. But when we're talking about distance between the defense and the offensive player and the shooter, Kyle Korver is one of the best I've ever seen at creating space. Duncan Robinson, he doesn't create that space. Drew Holiday is on him like white on rice. Klay Thompson, he's a good player as far as
catch and shoot specifically.
catch and shoot, but he's very underrated coming off screens. If you watch somebody like Klay Thompson, like I said, Ray Allen, another person that was really good about this is Richard Hamilton. How he came off. Watch them come off screens and their shoulder placement. They'll place their shoulders a little bit low, closer to the midsection of the guy, that the screen setter, and they'll come off, but they'll come off in a full sprint. I feel like Duncan Robinson comes off and he's kind of looking back like, hey, throw me the ball. I'm open for a split second, but you're playing against Drew Holiday, who's right now, he's a great defender, but he's not going to get the respect he deserves in this round, okay? He's going to get the respect he deserves when we see what he does to Kyrie and James on both sides of the ball, because, I mean, for a split second, he did have that respect when he was doing stuff when he put the clamps on Dame and CJ, when they ultimately ran into Clay and Steph. He took that year off to be with his family, and then he came back, and I feel like people are starting to recognize, like, hey, this boy is a problem, a real problem. Miami's finding that out the hard way, because they should have been in the run and pick him up in the offseason. They just didn't get the job done, because obviously they had to keep Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn and Precious Achua and, you know, all these young guys, which is, you want to plan for the future. Great. What about now? Jimmy Butler's 32, 33, and signed a 3-year deal. Come on, man. Like, you got to think, we got to do something now. You made it to the finals last year. Let's see if we can actually get the chip. My frustration with this series is that Jimmy Butler, like I said, he's playing like a role player, but you're watching him and it's like he's not interested in even trying to score the basketball. He's not even looking at the rim half the time. First game, he was just jacking up threes. He goes, 2 for 9, 1 for 9, 4 for 22 from the field. He goes 4 for 10 the next game, and they're down 46-20 after the first quarter. There's no way I only take 10 shots for the entirety of the game, and you just popped us in the first quarter by a 20-piece. Like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense to any other superstar, any fan, any legend, any analyst, commentator. You seen Stephen A. Smith, he went off on it, and then you come out tonight and you only have 19 points. Like, come on now.
That's not gonna get the job done. I totally agree with your point around, he's acting like a role player instead of a superstar, and it's like
Yep.
when you're the cornerstone of the team, it's like if you don't show up, you look at any of the great teams. Let's take Golden State Warriors for instance. I mean, if everybody else is doing well, Steph is doing bad. It's like the other team still has a chance. Because your guy is not fulfilling the role that they're supposed to at that moment.
He's not
So
engaged.
whenever that happens, yeah, and so whenever that happens, either when your main guy is either disengaged or just for whatever reason not performing, up to expectation, it's like that team is going to have a chance no matter what. No matter how good your other role players are, if other people come through but your main guy doesn't, it's going to cause a problem every time.
Yeah, but and then also they have to feed off of what you're doing. And he's trying to do it the other way around. Like, all right, we're gonna start the game. I'm gonna get Duncan some looks, Dragic some looks, Tyler looks, bro, they're not going to be wide open if you're not attacking the basket, if you're not putting pressure on the interior defense, which is your game. That's your style of play. You put pressure on the people at the rim, you get to the free throw line. When you drive to the hole, defense converges, and you got a kick out. That's how you get your shooters open often throughout the game as a superstar. You see James Harden do it, Kyrie, Steph, Clay, I mean Draymond. Draymond never shoots the basketball, but the way he thinks about the game of basketball, he uses Steph coming off screens and cutting to the basket. He uses them as decoys to get the shooters on the opposite side open. You know, if Steph's coming off a dribble handoff, he'll fake the handoff, attack a little bit towards the basket, and he'll kick it to the corner. That's how you get guys like Damian Lee, Poole. He hit a couple of jumpers. Scotto Anderson. You know, that's how you get those other guys off, right? You attack. You look like you want to go make a move to get to the basket, put pressure on the interior defense. And Miami just hasn't done that at all. And I feel like Jimmy Butler is going to wake up in this offseason. He's going to, you know, do all the rah-rah, and then he's going to talk about how, you know, we got killed in the playoffs, we got killed all year last year, this year's going to be different. Yeah, you can say all that if you want to, all right? We know you're going to play tough defense. We know you're going to bring that heart. But right now, playoff Jimmy is in full effect. Nobody cares about any of that. The only thing we care about is, okay, are you going to wake up tomorrow and be the superstar that you're being paid to be, that you have the talent to be, and that you showed us in the NBA Finals? Like, that's all I want to know. You stupidly locked in, but you're stupidly playing. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. Special thanks to Curtis Murphy and Murphy Lee Training for sponsoring this episode. If you want to stay up to date on merchandise or simply update your game, please click the link in the description to stay up to date on all things Murphy Lee Training. Till next time, you know the rules.